Okay, I'm just checking to make sure I'm recording. Okay, so this is my queenless hive. I've checked it multiple times over the last 10 days for many reasons. I gave them some brood to try to make a queen. We're going into the fall. They did not do that. So I did have my dad, who is a master beekeeper. He breeds the Russian honeybee, Revis Russian apiary, send me a queen because I didn't have any more brood to attempt and I'm running out of time. I just received that queen this morning. I waited till the morning bees got out just so the bee population was down a little bit because they are agitated from a lack of a queen. I know there's no queen after checking them multiple times because there's absolutely no brood or eggs or larvae anywhere in the box other than the one frame that I gave them. You're going to see me now check that one frame. I do want to look at it really quickly just to make sure that those new bees are still coming out, and then you're going to see me introduce the new queen. I'm going to leave her in her cage for several days since they have been alone. Older bees can reject a new queen sometimes, so we want to give them time to get her pheromone and get used to her. So I know this is the frame that had brood in it because this is the frame I gave them with brood in it. And again, I'm just double checking it. And I may check one other frame to make sure I've made no mistakes. That is something that all beekeepers should do. Just go behind themselves. And yes, this brood has pretty much completely hatched out. No queen cells on here, which I knew wouldn't be, but I am just making sure I hadn't missed anything. So this is the frame of brood that was completely packed with brood. Not sure what you can see because I have it angled down so you can see the whole box. As you can see, they've pretty much hatched out. Since this is where my main cluster is, I will sit the cage with the queen on top of this. And I will just check the other frame to make sure there are no eggs in there. Again, you can see they're pretty agitated. Now when a beehive is queenless, you can move slow, you can do all the things right, and they're still going to be agitated because it's a life and death situation for them, especially as they know they're headed into a cold season. So I don't really worry too much about going slow or fast. I just do what I need to do to go behind myself, make sure I haven't missed anything. All I'm doing is looking for eggs in case I've missed a queen, because sometimes that happens. And yeah, nothing. Alright, so now I'm going to show you the queen in her cage. And I'm going to take the camera off the tripod. Now I do try to put this back in when I'm pushing it down slowly so I don't kill any bees. We don't want to do that. Again, you can see they're agitated, and that's all right. Okay, so here we go. Here is my queen bee. She is inside of this cage with some attendants to feed her. I'm going to go ahead and take the queen, the camera off the tripod. They're attacking the camera because it's nice and black. Put the queen down here for a second. They're going to start to smell that pheromone. It's going to excite them, hopefully. Alright, I'm going to try to move this slowly so that you guys can see what I'm doing. It's important to count the bars for yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I'll show you'll know why in a minute. And okay, now I have put the queen on top. There are many ways of doing this. So this is a mated queen, and we want to see how they react to her. Do they ball up on her, attack her? That's what we're watching for here. They should rush to her, hopefully, because they are in desperate need of her. Should almost stop to pay attention from me. And they are you may see some being aggressive and some not. We're just going to continue to keep an eye on this. You see them coming up from the bottom here. Again, remember, she is full of pheromone because she is a mated queen in that cage. The cage gives her some level of protection where she can go where they can't bite her feet and things like that. She also has attendants inside. But as you can see, they're very interested in her. Oops, excuse me. And I'm going to get quiet. We're just going to sit here and see what happens. So, let me explain while I sit here and let you watch this why I know what frames I have it on. This was an established hive, so it had 2 supers on top that I actually would like to keep on it through the winter. I may break it down to just 1 super on top. It's going to depend on how this queen does. That being said, the easiest way to maintain this hive is to, with this new queen right now and introducing her, is to put the super back on top, but to remove the 5th and 6th frame right above where I put her, above her, to empty that space above her for the couple of days that I keep her in this cage while her pheromone, everyone gets to know each other kind of thing. And that way I don't squish the cage. I also don't put her down in between frames and put her in any type of perilous situation. Everyone has space for the next 48 to 72 hours. The best recommendation I can give you is to leave her in the cage for 4 days. After 4 days, it's the safest way to play it. Come in, take the cap off, and about 24 hours after that, she and the bees will eat her way totally out, and all should be harmonious. I don't see any major aggression here. That's a good sign. I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing. They're paying less and less attention to me. I'm gonna come from a different angle here. I'm also gonna move my smoker, so if I'm a little bumpy for a second, excuse me. I want to take the smoke away from them. So now what I'm looking for is to start to see some fanning. It would be nice to get the rest of the hive on here. Okay, so see this girl here? She's starting to fan. That is a good sign. It's hard for me to look at the camera and point. See the fanning? That means they're liking the pheromone. They're sending the pheromone around, saying, this is who we are now. This is who we are now. So that's an excellent sign. I'm looking for aggression, like sticking their tail down in there, trying to sting her, things like that. I'm really not seeing any of that. I could be missing it, obviously, because I'm trying to film, watch the camera, and watch her, which is awkward. If you've ever tried to film in your bee yard, you'll know what I mean. It's hard to do both. But anyhow, I'm not unhappy. Here's another thing you can do is try to move them off, and if you can't, it means that they're stuck. Or if they attack your finger, it means they're in an aggressive mode. They weren't stuck to it, which means they are not stinging it. So that's a good sign. It's hard for me to see what I'm filming right now because the sun has come out, so it's very bright, so I can't see my screen, see what you guys are seeing. So I'm going to move the camera really quick to show you what I mean by, just in case you're a new beekeeper and you don't know what I mean. Over here, you will see I have the rest of her hive, which is 2 supers in the lid. I'm also going to feed them to keep them busy and happy and content while they're getting used to her. And so when I put this box here back on, I will remove the 5th and 6th frame from this box to empty the space above her. I'll shake the bees off back into the hive and just take those with me. And then when I come back and remove the cap, I'll keep them out. And then when I come back and she's released from the cage and I remove the cage completely, meaning she's eaten her way out, or the bees have eaten out all the sugar in the cap, then I can put those frames back in. Okay, let's come back over here and see how she's doing. Now, because they've been without a queen for so long, I may try to expedite, but I do not recommend anyone else do that. Especially if you're new to bees. When I say expedite, it just means I may take the cap off maybe the 3rd day or something like that. I don't know. I'll talk to my dad about it based on how agreeable everyone seems. This is a good sign. But I may not need to wait so long, but the best recommendation is on the 4th day you remove the cap. And I'm going to show you what I mean by the cap. Here's the cap right here. And in this tube on this cage, it is filled with sugar, form of impacted sugar. And that's what the little bees that are inside the cage with her have been feeding her with as they've traveled to me. And another important note, when you do get a queen ordered from a reputable beekeeper, whoever you decide that is, when you get them, take a toothpick and put a drop of honey and a couple of drops of water on the corner of the cage, like the corner down here where the holes are, and give them some water and honey to rejuvenate them, because they've probably been traveling for about 24 to 48 hours and the worker bees need that food then to sustain them through this. Now these bees will also come and help and feed and do things like that. You can see here, look here, they're climbing on top of her to get each other to get near her. Beautiful. This is life to these bees. Isn't that beautiful? And look how calm they are now. See how calm everybody is? Like they act totally different now. Totally different. Come around from the opposite side, from the front of the hive. If you're a new beekeeper, the first lesson in beekeeping, I'm going to take the sun off of them. Not a good idea to hang around fronts of hives because you have worker bees coming in and out, you know, your scout bees and your forager bees, and you get in their way. But for the purposes of this video, I will stand here for a minute. All right, well, there you have it. Let's hope she does well. Beautiful Russian queen. This year, it's been a very wet season on the East Coast. It's made it harder for the bees. They have a hard time collecting all the resources they need, and virgin queens have a hard time mating. I do highly recommend Russian honeybees. I find their temperament to be darn near perfect. That's my opinion. And easy to work with. They handle any issues with mites very, very well. We don't use any form of chemicals on our Russians at all. They are very good at coping and adjusting to all of those issues, and we have very minimal loss each year. So anyhow, I'm excited to get this queen, get her genetics here, and hopefully she'll delay in here in the next 5 to 10 days, and this hive will make it. Thanks for watching so much. Truly appreciate your time, and good luck to you. And don't forget, it's about time to start feeding your bees to help them get ready to gear up for making winter bees. Blessings to you. Bye.